Coming up today, moved to tears by a complete stranger, a farmer and a young girl hundreds of miles apart, but connected by kidney failure. See what his act of generosity meant to this little Taylor Swift fan. Good morning, I'm Jessica Lovell, and welcome to the Morning Medical Update. Frank Mackey got the kidney transplant he needed thanks to the generosity of his son. Then Frank got emotional and showed his own generosity when he saw a story on the news. Family and friends describe 71-year-old Kansas farmer Frank Mackey as a softie.
I cried.
Not a Swiftie.
The whole room was covered with Taylor Swift pictures, and they thought the music's what saved her. Who in the hell wouldn't help her?
For 14-year-old Elsa Weimerslag, a chance to see Taylor Swift in concert in Kansas City was the ticket of a lifetime.
We put diamonds with a heart around my eye. For my outfit, I had on a butterfly skirt and a sequins jacket with some pink Converse.
Taylor Swift was just the medicine this little big music fan needed after a devastating diagnosis of acute myeloid leukemia.
She went through 3 bone marrow transplants. She has had multiple relapses, about 5 or 6 relapses in between those transplants. And then her last transplant at St. Jude, she got renal failure, and that's when she started dialysis.
Dialysis, a treatment Frank knew all too well because he suffered the same type of renal failure as Elsa.
And then when I seen her curled up in her bed for dialysis, that did it.
Frank, at home recovering from a kidney transplant he received just weeks prior at the University of Kansas Health System, saw a news story about Elsa getting scammed.
She's just an amazing artist.
The news hit him hard. With one click, the Weimerslags had fallen victim to a scammer.
We found some tickets on Marketplace, and we thought it was from a mutual friend, and we ended up sending him money, but he never sent us the tickets back. So it ended up being a scam that we were out a couple $1,000s on.
Frank's son had given him the gift of life. Now Frank wanted to do something special for this little girl.
I was probably shocked. I'm like, who would be so kind to give us tickets that are really expensive?
I don't know whether they thought I was a wacko or what, for doing this.
Not a wacko.
He's just an interesting guy. He beats to his own drum. He's something else.
The two met before the concert to make Elsa's dream come true.
That's all she wants to do is listen and see Taylor Swift. That's her life.
He's just super kind and stuff.
One night, this older softie could give to this little Swiftie.
She just stood there and put her arm around me. Just said, thank you.
A night they both will remember forever. And we are so happy to hear more about this act of kindness from Frank himself this morning. He joins us from his home in Spring Hill, Kansas, alongside his kidney donor and his son, Grant. Frank, I know you came in earlier this week for a checkup. Got to know, how is the kidney doing?
Yeah, I believe Dr. Klein said it was, my creatinine was 1.2, but as low as it's been. It wasn't as high as in the 7s when I was in the hospital. And so she's pumping.
He's a poppin'. Okay, that's what we like to hear. So while Frank is at home, we're also connected with Elsa and her dad, Kevin. They are in the St. Louis area. Good morning to both of you. And Elsa, I know you're out of class today a little bit, for a while anyway, so thanks for making time for us and to see Frank. How are you two doing this morning?
We're good.
Hey, good morning.
Well, and before the show started, I heard Frank say, "Oh, that's my girl. That's our girl," and it just speaks to this bond. You're his girl, so we're going to hear all about it.
She looks great. She looks great this morning. I can tell she's doing better. I can just see it in her face, and her hair's longer, and I can really tell she's improved.
And what do you call him, Elsa?
Really tell, yeah.
What's that?
Farmer Frank.
Farmer Frank. Well, we are so glad to reunite you with Farmer Frank. So in studio with me is Dr. Sean Coomer. He's kind of a big deal. He's a transplant surgeon, associate chief medical officer here at the University of Kansas Health System. He's also the surgeon who removed the kidney from Grant. But today, I'm sorry to tell you, you're going to have to step up your game. I know you save lives and all, and that seems like a big deal. But Frank is sending people to the Taylor Swift concert. So,
I know. Well,
I mean, what do you do?
No, I mean, I introduced Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Isn't that enough?
Have you not done your deed for a lifetime?
I still left Mandy Reid.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so Frank, take us back to that moment. You see this news story. You're sitting in your living room. Most people would see a news story. They'd feel sad. I know you got angry. And then people would just move on with their life. Explain to us what really moved you to make sure that Elsa got to that concert.
Well, after they said what she's been through and gone through, and I just went through a little bit of what she's went through. She's been through a tremendously lot of sickness, and I just, it just hit me that somebody had to do that to her and her family, and I just said I would like, I want to make a long story short. When the newscast was over, and they said something like, I hope somebody comes forward so she can go, I just said to myself, she's gone.
Grant, I know this is a family affair. You and your mom, you all kind of came together to make this happen. Were you surprised that Dad
Yes.
turned to you and said, this kid's going to Taylor Swift?
A little bit, kind of yes, kind of no. He tries to act big and tough, but he's a teddy bear, that's for sure.
Yes, we are seeing that about Farmer Frank this morning. So Kevin and Elsa, it must have been a huge shock. You hear that a stranger living hundreds of miles away in the Kansas City area is stepping forward. How did you hear about Frank's gift?
One of the coordinators that did the news story reached back out to us and let us know, and then we're shocked somebody did that, and just thankful that somebody stepped forward and was able to make Elsa able to go to the concert.
So Elsa, I'm sure you had a great time at the concert. So for folks who have never seen Taylor Swift, I happen to be one of them. I'm going to have to live vicariously through you. Tell us what makes these concerts so special.
She's a performer, so she makes the concerts worth so much. So much. She does her best on making the concerts so fun, and
Well, we heard that you had tickets to go see Taylor in Nashville. Is that right? Mother Nature, you had some weather issues. What happened?
we got a 3-hour storm delay, and I had dialysis the next morning, so we ended up just leaving right when she got on stage, and then it started pouring again, and it was cold, and so we just headed back to the hotel.
Well, but thanks to Frank, you already saw her. So that's a big bucket list. You don't realize it. I know you're young, but a lot of us won't get a chance to see her. So we're so glad you did. And you are cancer-free. So that's actually the most important part of this whole story. But it wasn't easy getting there. You've had 3 different stem cell transplants, which means you've had a lot of chemo to wipe out your immune system each time this happened. What was the toughest part that you remember going through those stem cell transplants?
Not being able to sleep in your own bed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big deal, isn't it? Kevin, what
Yeah.
was it like from your perspective as a dad at the bedside, the caretaker? What was this like for you?
It's just hard. It's hard. You want to trade spots with her. I mean, she's been stuck in the hospital for over half her life since she was diagnosed at 5, and she's 14. So it's hard, and just to see her get out to go see a concert and get to live a little bit, we're so thankful for Farmer Frank for doing that.
Well, and Kevin, I understand you donated stem cells for this last transplant, and you're ready and waiting to donate your kidney to Elsa, right?
Correct. October will be 2 years. She'll be in remission, and that's when she'll be able to get her kidney. So hopefully here in a few months, and then also be able to do swim team, volleyball, and basketball again.
Well, let's get technical a little bit with Dr. Coomer. So kind of help us understand that there's a waiting game involved here. She needs this new kidney. She's cancer-free. So what gives?
Well, the issue with, just like chemotherapy, knocking out the immune system, which is much more drastic than what we do post-transplant, as Frank can attest, he's on specialized medications, anti-rejection drugs, and they're really high in the beginning because the chance of rejection is very highest in the first 6 months, but they're weaned down over time. Those lower the threshold to get cancers for everybody. Most common type of cancer after transplant is actually skin cancer. But nonetheless, in Elsa's situation, if we gave her immunosuppression after a kidney transplant a little bit too early, it could resurface her malignancy from before.
And then it's all for nothing. You want to make
Correct.
sure, as we always say, when it comes to kidney transplant, make sure people are as healthy or they reach that sweet spot in their health journey, right?
Exactly. So the issue with the if the cancer recurs, then you have to do chemo again, and that might wipe out the new kidney as well. So that's why it's like you said, a sweet spot.
So in the meantime, Elsa's getting dialysis and specifically peritoneal dialysis. What's peritoneal dialysis, and what's the difference in specific types of dialysis?
Sure. Basically two categories: hemodialysis, which is done through a fistula or a catheter, which is exchange of blood through a machine. And peritoneal dialysis has a machine, but it rotates basically some dialysate into the abdomen, and it sits in there for a while, then it gets drained out. So that also, by diffusion, takes out sort of the quote-unquote toxins from kidney failure.
So Kevin and Elsa, you're doing dialysis every night, I understand. Elsa, what's it like sleeping? What's this experience been like for you?
At first, it hurt a lot, but then you get to it, and then you don't even notice it.
So Frank, I want to bring you back in because you've been through dialysis, and I understand this really took a mental toll. What was that like for you?
As far as taking dialysis, for me, just getting up and going every 3 days a week was a big change, and had a hard time having to sit in that chair for roughly 4 hours at a time. And I was getting up and wanting to go home, and then they give me some kind of anxiety pill, and that worked pretty good. And it changed me. I would come home, I'd have a big appetite after I left the clinic, and then I'd come home and I would most likely sleep the rest of the day, and sometimes even into the night. And then maybe the next time I went, I'd want to go out and do some work. Mentally, I changed mentally. A lot of times I couldn't remember things, and it's just, I believe it's just it's a toll on your body, but it's a way to keep you kicking, you know.
Right, that bridge
I
to
didn't
transplant.
have any choice. And a lot of people sitting, and the people I was in there with, I only cramped once, but I'd hear that some people would take it really, they just holler, it hurt so bad, and they'd have to unhook them, and just to sit there and hear all that, and
Yeah.
it wasn't easy, but we made her, and Elsie, she's going to make her too. I know.
Yep.
She's strong.
Yeah, she is. Grant, what was it like? You are the one who gave Dad a second chance at life, give the kidney, but to watch this very active dad of yours kind of be sidelined. What was this like as a family coming together?
Right. It was very tough. He's a hard worker. He loves the farm and the cows. So not being able to get outside and do all that, I think that was very tough on him. But I was just fortunate enough to be a match and have the opportunity to donate a kidney and save his life.
So Grant, what advice do you have maybe for Kevin before he donates?
If I could go back, I'd do it 1,000,000 times over.
I bet you would. I know you would. And
Yep.
So what does Kevin have to look forward to? It's a gift to be able to save the life of a loved one. What advice do you have for him?
Just hang in there. Those first couple weeks of recovery are pretty tough, but just hang in there. And once that soreness wears off, it's downhill from there. It'll be tough, but it'll be well worth it in the long run, for sure.
So Elsa, we know because we saw the pictures, you spent a lot of time in the hospital, and you must have made a pretty darn good impression on your nurses, because one of your nurses invited you to be in their wedding party. Tell us about her. What was it like getting all dressed up and standing beside her?
She's just a very fun person to be around. So her whole wedding, getting ready and stuff was so much fun.
Well, it's just great to see kind of that full circle moment. She's by your side, and then here you are by her side. And Dr. Coomer, just we do a lot of these stories, but thoughts on this one? Kind of fun and pretty cool, huh?
This is an amazing story. I'm honored to have been Grant's surgeon for his father, and I always feel that my role in this is to be sort of the tool that makes something happen great. And it's the donors that really make this world go round. I mean, that selflessness of being a living donor, and also the selflessness of deceased donors as well. That's what makes people live longer.
Well, yeah, just elaborate a little bit more on just the importance and the safety and how safe it is if people reach out and learn more about living donation.
Yeah, living donation, whatever it is, particularly in liver and kidney, kidney in this case, it is painful, like Grant said. I try not to sugarcoat it when we meet them, and first couple of days are pretty rough. Grant, I'm sure, can attest to, and then it gets better a few days after that, but it's still not easy. But the joy you have in donating to somebody is pretty incredible. Now, that being said, donation is important. We don't have enough organs. We have 103,000 people out there waiting for kidneys. So it's just a lot of people need their lives saved.
Yeah, pick up a phone, call, do your research, see if you can be one.
Yes.
So if you have questions for Frank, for Elsa, her dad, Dr. Coomer, send those in on the chat on YouTube or Facebook. We are on the X platform, or you can email the Medical News Network. Information is right there on your screen. Let's check in with Dr. Dana Hawkinson. Good morning.
Hi.
Did you take your daughter to see Taylor? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's a great experience. I mean, I think what she does for all those young girls and young women around the country and around the world is great. It was a great atmosphere. I think once was enough for me, but I would encourage people to go see it. It was really good. The atmosphere was awesome, very positive, and promoting strength and just living in this world.
Oh,
so
Taylor
it's really
Swift
good.
got to you. You're a little bit of a Swiftie. I like
Yeah,
it. Okay,
absolutely.
I'm telling everyone. All right, so the COVID count very low this week, and no more COVID count as of May 1st, right?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, again, there has been CMS, or Center for Medicaid Services, requirements on reporting all of the hospital data have certainly changed. Certainly now we are going to be taking some of those resources of reporting and counting in the health system and directing those towards other more priority needed. Prioritize it differently to give resources to other places as well. But right now, good news, only 3 active inpatients in the hospital, so that is really good.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can keep it going down.
Doing away with the COVID count, definitely not doing away with you.
Right.
For your fan base, make sure that they're rest assured you will be around.
There was always the battle between humans and other microbes and organisms around the world, so we will always have something to talk about.
Well, and we do today, like current bird flu outbreak among dairy cows, including the headline this week that fragments of bird flu virus were found in milk. So please put our minds to ease. We're not going to catch bird flu from drinking milk, correct?
Correct. So I think there is a large force going to, number one, keeping avian influenza milk out of the circulation for people to buy. We know that milk is pasteurized. Most of the milk that you can buy in the stores is pasteurized. We do believe that it does kill the virus. Now, we don't have direct evidence of this, but we know that when we pasteurize eggs and things of that nature, which uses less, the temperature is lower, that does effectively inactivate the virus. What they did was they found remnants or pieces of the genetic material of avian influenza in the milk. But again, right now doesn't really seem to pose any threat to humans. More of a concern is how widespread is avian influenza throughout dairy herds in America, and that can have effects on the herds themselves. So we just also have to understand that. Also, the people that are working closely with those dairy herds, they are at risk of getting influenza, HPAI, highly pathogenic avian influenza, in this case H5N1, and so they really need to be taking precautions as well. Wearing a mask is important, adequate hand hygiene, don't eat and drink around where you're working, things of that nature, because we know that there has been one dairy herd worker in Texas who did test positive for H5N1 avian influenza in working with those cattle, with that dairy herd. So it is very important to understand that, especially if you're a worker or have that high exposure risk, to take those precautions to protect yourself.
All right, Hawk, thank you so much. Let's get to some questions from our viewers today. First one from Jeremy. Is there anything unique to younger kidney donor recipients versus an adult? I mean, how does it work?
Yeah, so it's a little bit different. You can think about their blood cell volume or things of that nature, and obviously children are smaller than adults, and so sometimes it's a big kidney going in a small location, and then sometimes you sew those into larger vessels. But by and large, they do very well and very similar to adults. Sometimes there's some blood pressure swings, but usually it balances out pretty quickly.
Kevin, did Elsa ever get hemodialysis?
Yeah, she started with hemodialysis first, and when she got comfortable with that, we went to peritoneal, which was more convenient for her because we could do it at home.
All right, Elsa, important question. What's your favorite Taylor Swift song or album?
I have been really digging folklore.
Now, here's the deal. What is it with my son is the same way. They don't have, these kids, they don't have a favorite Taylor Swift song. They have a favorite Taylor Swift album. So it's really interesting to me. And another question is, what do you think about this new 31-song album that Taylor just put out? Have you gotten through all the songs?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
What do you think? Okay. What do you think of it? What are you rating this one?
It's not my favorite, but it's really good.
Not your favorite, but it's really good. Okay. Well, you are a good critic, we know. So I want to ask Frank, how do you feel now post-transplant compared to pre-transplant, Frank? How has life changed for you?
First of all, I don't have to go to dialysis anymore. That was a big worry, because when I was after I had the transplant, about 6 weeks afterwards, I got very sick. And then had a 39-day stay in the hospital to get recouped. And there was about 2 to 3 weeks that they couldn't tell me whether or not that new kidney was going to work again. So that was the longest 3 weeks of my life, to find out that maybe it might come around. And it did. And Grant came and seen me every night, and I know he was worried that we were going to lose that kidney, because I just know I did die, I guess, kind of, and they brought me back. My last dialysis was September the 10th at KU, and the fellow that was hooking me up, he says, "I remember you," and I go, "Well, I don't remember you," and he says, "Yeah, you were over in that stall across the aisle," and I go, "Yeah." Yeah, he said there were 6 or 7 doctors and nurses on top of you. And I go, "What were they doing?" And he said, "Well, they were putting a heat blanket on you, trying to get your blood pressure to come back." And it's the thought of losing Grant's kidney took a toll on me. It took a toll on all of us. But it came around, and I just thank the Lord that it happened, because I don't believe I could have went back to dialysis again. I hated it so much. But otherwise, I'm doing fine. I have some trouble with my toes, but
Frank,
they say that's when my legs got so big.
Frank,
yes?
What has this donation from your son meant to you? How has it changed your relationship with Grant?
Well, every time I look at him, I think, well, if it wasn't for him, I probably might still be here, but not in very good health. And I did I did ask one of the doctors one time when we were going in to get approved to get a transplant. I says, how long can I live on dialysis? And he told me 2 years maybe, and that just really hurt me. And I know, I know he didn't mean it in a way that, and I could have probably outlived him because I'm tough and I know that. But just to know that could happen, So anyway, I don't know. It's just, I look at him every day. I'm carrying part of him around.
Yep.
If it wasn't for him, I couldn't be here as sturdy and strong as I am right now. So, I mean, it's just I can't explain how much it means. I'll tell you what, it means a lot.
I know it does.
And then I got another son that he would have donated it. I got the other son. He would have donated his kidney, but we didn't ask him. But he takes care of the farm. If I didn't have him, the farm would have been gone and all the cattle. Because Grant's a banker and he's not interested in it. And,
good kids you raised there, Frank.
yeah, and the other one stayed home.
Hey.
Yeah, well, Rhonda, my angel, she raised him too, better than I did.
Yes, Rhonda, your wife. She's been there through all of this and been a big part of this story. Just quick question,
Yes.
Frank, from someone. Do you listen to Taylor Swift? Do you know any songs by Taylor Swift?
No, I don't know any of them. I just see her on TV.
Okay, she's a pretty big deal. That's all it took.
I just want to I just want to tell Elsie I'm working on something big. I don't know if it'll ever come through or not, but I'm working on it.
Oh, okay. So we're going to have you back on.
Keep you posted.
Oh, okay. I like this tease. Frank, Farmer Frank, we love it. Hey, Kevin, how has this been on your family and the siblings through this diagnosis? Someone wants to know what that's been like, that toll.
Rough because Elsa's been inpatient over half her life, so half your family's at home, half your family's in the hospital, and it's hard, but make it work.
Kevin, what do you want the takeaway to be from this story?
We're just so thankful for Farmer Frank for letting getting Elsa tickets to Taylor Swift so she's able to get out and live life, get out and enjoy life. We appreciate it, Farmer Frank. Thank you.
Elsa,
You're welcome.
last words for Frank. Well, not last words, but last words today for Farmer Frank from you.
Thank you so much, Farmer Frank, for the Taylor Swift tickets. They meant a lot to me.
And Grant,
I know they did.
Grant, what's the takeaway from this story?
I think the moral of the story is, if you have the opportunity to help somebody, do it. I think it's simple as that.
Well said. Farmer Frank, what's the big takeaway from this story?
I guess there's so much hate in this world, and there's just so much hate that why can't it be the other way? To just want to help one person, one person help another, instead of all the hate and the corruption of money and all that. Just help somebody live. In a few years, I went through. I know I don't know how long I'm going to live, but I know I'll be here today and hopefully tomorrow. And it's all because of Grant. And there's so many other people. I know when I was in dialysis, I'd say, "Are you going to get a transplant?" And they'd say, "Well, I'm too old," or "Nobody cares to want to give me one," this and that, And I was just so fortunate to get one within a year, when people have waited years and years for them, and to get a live one too, because I was told if I'd had one from a deceased person when I was real sick, it probably wouldn't have made it. So Grant's live kidney paid off.
It sure did. Just
help somebody. Just help
somebody. It's a story about gratitude. And
you got 2 kidneys, give one away.
Yep. Well said, Dr. Cooper. I'll just let you have let you wrap us up today and have the final word.
Dangerous, I think.
I know.
Jess.
Okay.
So no, I think the real story. I think Frank said it right. saving somebody's life is incredible, whether it's the true heroes here or the donors. Donors of tickets and donors of organs. But nonetheless, please think about it. Go donatelife.org, go to your DMV, sign up to be a donor. And if you have questions about being a living donor, it doesn't cost anything. It's a phone call, learn some more, maybe meet with the team. You don't have to say yes, but just get educated because it's really important.
Thanks for all you do. Thanks to our guests, and we can't wait to hear what Frank is working on next. So this is a to be continued story. Stay tuned. Okay, I like it, Frank. You will be back, okay? Kevin and Elsa, thank you so much. Grant, be well. Thank you to all of our viewers as well for watching today. We'll see you back here on Monday. Coming up Monday on the Morning Medical Update, life-saving care regardless of the rivalry. The president of K-State turned to the University of Kansas Health System for his cancer care. I'm Jessica Lovell on the next Morning Medical Update. The treatment that took Richard Linton away from Manhattan for weeks and the tremendous support that helped get him back home. Monday at 8.
Subscribe to our Morning Medical Update and Open Mics with Dr. Stites podcast. Now, everywhere podcasts are available.